They only kept you around out of pity, not because you're family, my father said, loud enough for everyone at the table to hear. I didn't argue. I just smiled, because for the first time, I knew something he didn't. My name is Vanessa Cole, I'm 33 years old, and for 12 years I lived in a house where my presence felt like a mistake no one wanted to fix. After my mother passed away, my father didn't just move on. He replaced everything about her, including me. His new wife brought in new rules, new expectations, and a new version of what family meant. I didn't fit into that version. I became the extra plate that only showed up when needed, the quiet voice no one asked for. I moved out early, built my own life, and kept my distance, but somehow they still found ways to remind me I didn't belong. I worked as a closing coordinator in real estate, dealing with contracts and ownership details every day. It taught me one thing clearly. What's written matters more than what's said. And while they were busy rewriting the story of our family, I was paying attention to the parts they forgot to hide. If you've ever been treated like you don't belong in your own family, subscribe right now. I know that silence. Drop your story in the comments because it matters. And if you're ready to see how this turned around, hit hype and stay with me. The dinner invitation came late, like always. A quick message. Come if you want. No time, no varmt. When I arrived, the house looked like a showroom. Everything perfect, everything staged. My stepmother greeted guests like she was hosting an event, not a family gathering. When she saw me, her smile paused for half a second. That was enough. I sat down quietly. Conversations flowed around me like I wasn't there. Then came the moment. Someone asked about family achievements, and my father started listing them. My stepbrother's promotion. My stepsister's engagement. Then silence. My name didn't come up. Not even once. A relative finally asked, "And Vanessa?" My father didn't hesitate. "She does her own thing. Not really part of this anymore." A few people nodded awkwardly. I picked up my glass, took a sip, and set it down slowly. "That's interesting," I said calmly. "Because legally, I'm more part of this than you think." The table went quiet. My stepmother laughed lightly, trying to brush it off. "Let's not make this awkward." I didn't push further. Not yet. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and left without another word. As I stepped outside, my phone rang. My lawyer. Perfect timing. "Vanessa," he said. "We need to talk about the condo. And your father just made a serious mistake." I smiled slightly. I already knew. The next few days were exactly what I expected. My father cut contact completely. No calls. No messages. But the real story started spreading. I heard from relatives that I was being described as unstable, disconnected, someone trying to create problems where none existed. Then came the legal move. A notice suggesting shared claim over property tied to my name. That was the moment I stopped waiting. I didn't panic. I didn't react emotionally. I went straight to work. I pulled every document related to my assets, every transaction, every signature. I already knew what I would find. Because years ago, when I purchased my condo, I made sure every detail was clean, documented, and untouchable. What they didn't realize was that their attempt to claim it opened a door they couldn't close. For years, I had noticed small inconsistencies. Money that moved quietly after my mother's passing. Assets that changed hands without clear explanation. At the time, I ignored it. I didn't want conflict. But I kept records anyway. Not out of suspicion, out of habit. That habit became my advantage. When I revisited everything, the pattern was obvious. Funds connected to my mother's estate had been redirected in ways that didn't match legal distributions. It wasn't obvious enough to raise immediate alarms, but it was enough to question. And once you question something legally, everything starts to unravel. I built my timeline carefully. Every transfer, every document, every missing explanation. By the time I finished, I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew exactly what they were trying to hide. I reached out to a senior attorney who had experience with estate disputes. He reviewed everything quietly, flipping through pages without speaking for a long time. Then he looked at me and said, "They're counting on you not pushing this." That was their biggest mistake. We prepared everything. Not aggressively, not emotionally, but precisely. Meanwhile, My family grew more confident. They assumed my silence meant fear. My stepbrother even mentioned selling shared property in front of others like it was already decided. They had no idea what was coming. The meeting was scheduled, formal, official, unavoidable. When we sat down in that office, the energy was different. My father walked in like he owned the room. My stepmother followed, calm but watchful. My stepbrother looked relaxed, almost bored. That changed quickly. My attorney began presenting documents one by one. Clean, clear, undeniable. Ownership records, financial trails, verified transactions. Then came the key detail. My condo, valued at $240,000, fully in my name, purchased through funds that were legally traced and protected. No shared claim. No loophole. Nothing for them to hold on to. My father's expression shifted first. Then my stepmother's. My stepbrother stopped leaning back and sat forward. Silence filled the room. You went behind our backs? My father said. I looked at him steady. Just didn't let you control something that was mine. My attorney then addressed the bigger issue. Misrepresentation. False claims. Potential legal consequences. The room went cold. For the first time in years, they weren't in control of the narrative. I was. When I walked out of that office, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. For years, I thought being part of that family mattered. That their acceptance meant something. But standing there, I realized something simple. I didn't lose anything. They did. My condo wasn't just a property. It was proof that I built something on my own terms, without their approval, without their control. My father tried to reach out later. Messages, calls, even apologies that didn't sound real. But it didn't matter anymore. I wasn't waiting for him to change. I had already changed. Some doors don't need to be reopened. Some chapters are better left closed. If you've ever been made to feel like you don't belong, or like your story is being rewritten by others, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And click hype to help someone else realize their truth matters too. Your story has power, even if no one around you recognizes it yet. If this resonated with you, subscribe and share your journey below. Every hype helps this reach someone who needs it. Thank you for listening. Even apologies that didn't sound real. But it didn't matter anymore. I wasn't waiting for him to change. I had already changed. Some doors don't need to be reopened. Some chapters are better left closed. If you've ever been made to feel like you don't belong, or like your story is being rewritten by others, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And click hype to help someone else realize their truth matters too. Your story has power, even if no one around you recognizes it yet. If this resonated with you, subscribe and share your journey below. Every hype helps this reach someone who needs it. Thank you for listening.